used raindrops as well, so can look to play even more aggressive than he has been so far. Should be just fine.
Sukimoto might be able to get the kill on Natsumi.
Oh, X-Nova's really
very
been on
low.
point here.
It honestly seems like Natsumi doesn't particularly care if he dies. He just wants to refresh in his health pool and mana. And very up in the face, maybe hoping he can try and take one of the members of Dire into the grave with him.
Yeah. I mean, Sukimoto is very killable right now.
Yeah.
0 stick charges. You can't really look to use the avalanche in response to the snowball all that easily. So I think even just X-Nova keeping Sukimoto out of this lane is a bit of a win for Natsumi. He's got the raindrops himself. I just look to wait for this Jingu to expire on the top side and then go for an aggressive play. But lane's kind of pushed in a bit deep.
I wonder if when Zephyr's going to consider about start going back and making some stacks. Looks like there already is a double of the Heart and the Ancients. He's going to try and make that a triple as well with that next minute mark. So it's going to be lovely.
Worry about power runes as well.
That is true.
Leshrack's going to put a lot more emphasis onto it than the OD. OD's main goal is just making sure he gets into that Meteor Hammer, putting some aggressive pressure on the map. And FBZ, he's way too deep.
That he is. They've already used a glimpse though. FBZ's able to get some distance away. This phase boots and wow, beautifully done with the cut down. We see how speedy the Dino can be. Phase and Wind lays mid lane now. Double support from Boom to try and keep Yopaj alive. He's got the 6, but the hammer gets dropped down. Velky able to find a much needed kill, but it'll come at a cost of his own life as Zephyr able to find multiple stacks of the poison. Now they're going to turn to Sukimoto, and they too should be able to bring down the Tiny. He's got no stick charges to play with now. With the snowball over the top, I'll be able to secure the kill. So beautiful rotations coming out from the duo supports from Boom.
Been able to get the Observer Ward away as well, and, well, they're really not going to be all that worried about this OD anymore. He was able to get the kill, but it was a little bit short of that. Just see Zephyr starting to patrol his way back towards mid. Ooh, if he's able to get a disruption off here, might be able to get a split earth. Might just be a little bit too far away, though. Never mind.
He'll find the angle, and now Sukimoto and Avalanche to try and help out. Really just a desperate use of the stun just to say I kind of did something in the end, but still with the OD is going to go down. So multiple deaths in a row now for the Outward Devourer. In fact, he teleports still on cooldown, and well, Boom are going to look to shove the lane. Yopaj doesn't have a point in the Edict, so the tower's not going to take too much damage. Meanwhile, top lane, who's really in trouble at the moment? FBZ, a glimpse him back, but with Zephyr nearby, they can get some distance thanks to the banishment.
I was thinking maybe they could have gone for an aggressive glyph there on Boom, just because, yeah, you didn't have the Edict, but you
bottom lane.
You'd have... Well, should be okay on that Smee, but Seimei, not quite as much.
No, he's not going to be okay at all. I mean, Natsumi's at the stage where, with 3 points in the tag team from X-Nova, he's also got plenty of right-click damage actually starting to come out here for the Shadow Fiend.
Plus he's got the treads, pretty standard for any kind of right-clicker, but just means that you can stack up that tag team damage even further. I mean, it's going to get even more powerful once he gets even just a single point into the presence of the Dark Lord, gets into that Mask of Madness.
Oh, great timing from Yopaj. Picture perfect with this stun after Zephyr's control. And that Velky's not going to be able to dodge it, but the Astral and now Sukimoto under the tower as well is in trouble. They've already got the level 6 from X-Nova. They're going to miss on the stun, though, from Yopaj, so Sukimoto will be able to just narrowly escape that attempt.
Man, they have delayed this Meteor Hammer by a good 3 minutes because of a lot of these rotations. He has been like 200 gold away for, yeah, that amount of time, and he's still just 70 gold away from being able to pick it up. So maybe if they can get the kill onto Yopaj here underneath the tower, they'll have the glimpse back for him underneath the tower, and it seems like they've just kind of resigned it to his fate here. Surely he doesn't get away. Don't really want the Disruptor to take it, but you know what? It gives him the hammer gold. That's the important thing.
That's the important thing indeed. So we'll see how much damage they're going to be able to get on the tower with Velky's Meteor. Importantly for Team Tough, Trill is boarding this top lane, has a large advantage over FBZ.
We kind of expected that to happen though, right? And I mean, the big thing for FBZ is he's still getting his experience. Like, yeah, you might just be what, a level behind the Monkey King, but your only death has been the first blood, and you're still going to have that pulverize available for these inevitable rotations that we know are going to be coming.
Have you been enjoying this new drums build that we're starting to see on the Primal Beast?
I mean, I think it's just drums' value in general, right? Like, you can look to go the Boots of Bearing eventually. It's going to give you a lot of value just to continue the movement speed buff, continue moving on forward. FBZ even going to be the one to make this Ancient Camp stack next, because it's going to give you that stack gold, even if you're not the one that looks to take it. They got Vision of Valky here. They're playing around that high ground ward, but he's going to be able to back off just enough.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Here in an Exo down bottom as well. So trying to force some sort of response down towards the bottom side. This is just Shadow Demon, excuse me, that doesn't have the level 6 just yet.
Same though.
Is very deep.
That he is. Valky's going to try and provide some assistance. Hammer will hold FBZ down, but there's really no turn threat without the Sanities. That's a lot of the damage for this OD at this stage of the game. And now even Yopaj has a haste in the arsenal as well, so as soon as they see the Leshrac, need to look to beeline back to the safety of their tower, but Tsukimoto will not be able to make it back to safety in the end. So boom, it's actually Zephyr that gets the double kill, so now he has enough experience for that purge to work with.
Not really all that worried about using it when there's no Exo to worry about, but may as well use it once, right? Only 60-second cooldown. Exo's still a minute and a half away. What I'm more interested in is, like, what is Boom going to do with his face? Because, you know, it's nice to be able to make that rotation. It's nice to get a couple of support kills, but the Monkey King is still farming completely freely, and you're not taking any towers off the back of this. So the fact that Valky was able to rotate back towards mid, clear out the siege creep, and get another siege creep just pushing into the Radiant side of the map is pretty big, just to create more space for this MK to be able to farm.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I'm going to see smoke as well from Team Tough looking ahead to top. Tsukimoto is a pretty decent level on the Tiny.
They know Exo is walking away as well because of this Observer Ward placed down by Moody. So they'll be able to scout out Shadow Fiend's movements, just being careful to take baby steps up towards where he might be looking to farm, and they actually get a really good vision of him. You can see Monkey King, he's patrolling over as a tree. They're able to try and get that pick off. They should do me.
And they might even get a +1 as well. The Static Storm into the combo of Trill. Very nicely done. Trill looking to get active early on for the Monkey King, even though he's going down this Battle Fury route. Meanwhile, mid lane as well, Valky's getting some damage onto the tower too with the meteor, but it does look like Boom are going to bring some numbers to try and defend it. In fact, FBZ wants to charge into the middle, but a quick use of the glimpse will send him away. So Team Tough, they're going to be able to reposition Yopaj. Somehow ended up under the T1 tower. Looks like he's going to be okay. Trill even wants to TP and doesn't have a lot of mana to play with here for the Monkey King. But still trying to turn the damage onto Yopaj. Is the Astral going to be enough? If they can find the meteor to pulverize, it's not going to matter though. They'll still get the kill onto Yopaj, but as a result, Boom, they've got some return kills, and what a shard from X-Nova. Holds Moody into place. The kinetic field will give him some breathing room. FBZ don't have the charge to work with, so the Dino's not going to be able to catch up to the Disruptor.
Yeah, so he's got the drums finished up coming out to him now. I like this just because it's going to synergize fairly well with this Tusk, Shadow Fiend, even just your own movement speed build that we've been talking about. I mean, even just ways to be able to get yourself away from the Wukongs, the Exorcism as well, right? But BKB is so important for FBZ. The synergy between the Onslaught cooldown and the Disruptor Glimpse cooldown is basically identical. So every single time that he's going to look to go on forward while he doesn't have that BKB, he's going to be the one that's being targeted by that Glimpse.
To be able to connect with Seimei as well while he's on his farming padding inside the jungle. So maybe with the Death Prophet damage, they should be able to get the kill onto X-Nova.
Might try and slow them down a little bit, use the snowball.
Ooh, and get a range. Alright, a bit of gold for Tsukimoto. So we're getting closer to the haste. We saw that second use of the Exo from Seimei to be able to get that bottom T1 tower. Got the mechanism now completed as well, so this is all things are lining pretty well for the moment for Team Tough, and still you've got this Monkey King that's getting a lot of farm.
Has he got the Fury? Yes, he does, and he himself is going into the BKB just so that he doesn't have to worry about Lesh or Primal at all. Really makes it so that the only thing that you're all that concerned about is, again, finding that way to lock in onto a target. So this game is going to be heavily around what Tsukimoto is able to do, as we see a lot of the time with these support tinings. Although he's got the Tumbler's Toy to be able to make it happen. He's, with all of these successful gank attempts as well, he's only 800 gold away from the blink.
Just off the mark, it's going to be Yopaj with a stun. They've got the high ground advantage. Adara funneling to the choke point and FBZ with a charge through. Some of the damage will be repaired with that mechanism. Looks like Moody's still going to go down nonetheless. He'll drop the ward before he dies, which does get scouted out. The Boom should be able to address this. And in the end, thought we were going to have a bit bigger of an engagement, but it's just the Disruptor that goes down.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was really thinking immediately after that, when they get the D-Ward off, they might have gone for a smoke straight away, just because they don't have the Disruptor there. They don't have the Glimpse, they don't have the Static Storm, and you can just look to run at them. You can see FPZ already started channeling it up, but it was in the river. They knew completely where that gank attempt was coming from, and they would have been able to respond to it. So, might have given them a little bit of a reprieve here, especially around that 15-minute catapult timing. If you're able to get a kill onto the OD, then you're going to be down numbers and not able to defend against any kind of mid-push. I miss Valky's suffix. I need to cast that a lot, the old girl name.
Yeah. Oh, it's a classic C thing though, isn't it? Everyone over here loves having the girl name suffix.
Gotta be careful. Absolutely want to give that regen rune over to Yopaj, and he's just going for the casual cloak. I like it. You know, again, a lot of the damage that you're going to be taking early on is magical, especially up against this Monkey King that still wants to farm, at least until he gets into that BKB.
Oh, same, mate. It's just the Bloodstone timing as well for Yopaj. A glimpse away means they won't get a lot of value out of the Bloodstone, but it's not going to matter. Boom at this stage of the game is so incredibly strong. Still, Valky wants to turn up to take the fight. But the ultimate only secures the kill into one, and that puts himself in a compromised position, so they can look to chase down the outward Devourer. As Boom, all they lose is X-Nova on the task, and now they can look to try and chain this into a tier 1 tower themselves.
I'm really not sure why they went for that push. Like, they had a mid tower that was available to be claimed. They had a siege creep. You had a strong OD. You had mechanism as well. And Monkey King doesn't want to dive in that deep. He still needs that BKB. So I guess they were really just wanting to get a little bit more active before Boom hit their big BKB timings. But you can't put yourself that massively out of position with no vision to be able to do it.
And it looks like with some of the involvement that we're getting out of Natsumi in some of these fights, he's catching up in the farm on the Monkey King. Trill was a good 2,000 ahead. Whether he's been slowing down his farm or the Shadow Fiend has been ramping up, Natsumi is very close now to the Monkey King's top of the net worth.
I like where Boom's looking to farm as well, right? Like FBZ, he's fairly tanky. Obviously, doesn't want to die for free, but any time that you get to be able to take away some of the Team Tough jungle against this Monkey King Battle Fury is going to be a big win for you, especially when you see Seimei down on the bottom side of the map. It means Monkey King's probably not farming that area, so it really takes away the space for him to get full use out of this Battle Fury.
They're going to sweep across the map, Valky. Oh, FBZ makes it down to the low ground. It's that full duration out of the onslaught, gets perfect distance. FBZ very nicely done. Alright, this is going to be probably a tier 2 to go down then.
No EXO to play around with, no OD. Really doesn't make a lot of sense for Disruptor to be part of this. He's actually going for a drums himself on a Disruptor, and Tsukimoto. Honestly, kills on him feel incredibly valuable, but he's already picked up that Blink Dagger, so at least you're not going to be stalling that one out for too much longer, but...
Seimei's in some trouble. Trill's got to try and lay down with the Wukong's command, but it's not the greatest position for them to take the fight in, regardless of the control that Trill's providing. They'll only get one kill into X-Nova, but now with the ring on cooldown, Boom, they feel strong enough to turn it back into their favor as everyone is looking to show up for the fight. They won't be able to catch up the Trill. Looks like Seimei's going to be able to duck into the tree line as well.
Didn't even use the mech in that fight as well for Seimei to be able to help his poor Disruptor, but that might have led them to continue in that fight for too long and just allow those boom reinforcements to actually wipe all three of them. But yeah, I mean, this is the last thing that you want, right? You don't want your jungle taken away this early when you've got a Battle Fury Monkey King to be able to play around with. You know that with that tag team maxed out, that Boom are very capable of taking an early Roshan with their own drums. And I mean, just to give a second life over to someone like either the Shadow Fiend for some pushes as he's about to hit his level 15, or the Leshrac just to continue running in first, doesn't feel that great. But yeah, it's very clear that that's what Boom is setting up for, right? That Roshan, waiting for the 20-minute power rune, and then looking to find a pick-off to enable them to lead into this. And, well, what a power rune to be able to claim. It's that regen, although they know that they're playing around here with the smoke being popped. They might just move on away instead. They want to try and get a pick-off as close to Roshan as possible. It's still only 20 minutes in, so those death timers
mid lane, yo,
pretty low.
hang on. Natsumi? Is he in trouble as a BKB and the team's starting to run on over? Xnova feels strong about taking the fight, but this looks like a very awkward position. Natsumi wants to try to bait them into the tree line. He'll charge up the Requiem, but it's not the greatest use of the ultimate. Are they going to respect how deep they go into the tier 2 tower? Because Show's going to look to show up. Lines to bound the strike onto 2. It's a pretty decent kinetic field as well that will hold multiple heroes inside the ring. So, but busy. He wants to go back in. This Primal Beast ready to find an angle. He'll charge on through, crashing away with the Monkey King. But Trill, he's going to be able to stand strong under the cover of the BKB. Do see though Natsumi and Yopaj in conjunction together is able to get the kill on the Tsukimoto, but still, honestly, a little bit of disrespect in a way. Maybe Boom don't particularly care about losing 2. They can just force Roche anyway. I guess that was a lot of ultimates committed, so they did a good job at cutting their losses, but seemed like a very awkward spot to take that fight.
It was awkward for both teams, let's be real, right? Like, it was a messy team fight. There were ultimates thrown around with no real connection. And, well, Boom, they're looking to try and push the advantage that they have with their supporting a little bit quicker. So it means that Xnova is able to get in there with a tag team. Again, they've got the drums if they want to pop it to be able to take it down, but they realize how important Tsukimoto is for any kind of aggressive attempt, but they're going to be able to pick him off again. Another kill, Roshan for free. Level 15 talent picked up now by Natsumi, and, well, not just that. BKB, but he's also got the Dragonlance to be able to play around with, and like you mentioned previously, and like is the big counter towards Death Prophet, it's staying at range with a lot of high physical damage, especially if you're able to reduce the armor as well before he's able to get into that plate mail. And, well, with all the death that Seimei has had, he doesn't even have the BKB yet, let alone the progress towards a plate mail.
They might be able to get Velki off the back of the smoke as well.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Get a glimpse of him over to the north. Nova, does he want to jump for this?
I think he does.
As soon as Velki jumps as well, so it's very deep under the tier 2 tower, but no one else is nearby.
Tsukimoto save him? Don't think so.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They've got Glyph, but again, you really can't afford to pop this one.
Radiant's bottom tower
They're trying to at least get a tier 2 of their own in exchange with Trill looking to push in that bottom side of the map, but to me it doesn't really seem like Boom care that much, although now they're starting to make a bit of a rotation.
Whoa.
top tower is under attack.
But lucky.
Now
they'll
moves them
actually have the
alone
outnumber.
top. See if they're going to be able to use that numbers to their advantage though, Natsumi. Just a BKB Requiem and a disengage. Yopaj should be able to blink away as well, and poor old Zephyr, he's not going to have the same fate, so they'll at least be able to get the Shadow Demon, but you really was hoping for a much more valuable kill with that numbers advantage that Team Tough had on that fight.
Yeah, they would have hoped to got a lot more, but it really just feels like Boom are going to hit these timings because of a few of those more effective rotations, right? To me, it all goes back to that attempt to the right of the Radiant Tier 1 tower, where they just got 3 deaths for 1 support kill and no tower to be able to play around with. So now it means that almost every single aggressive attempt is being made by Boom. We're actually getting Seimei going into a Heaven's Halberd, which I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of that. I mean, sure, it's going to be able to stop you from getting right-clicked by the Shadow Fiend, but that's really all that it's effective against, whereas, you know, something like the Plate Mail is going to give you some defense against the likes of Xnova as well, for example. Even the Primal Beast is certainly no slouch when it comes to just being able to land a couple of big right-clicks.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
See, though, they're just going to look to sweep across the map from Boom. Looking to try and find this.
Take every
final
single outer
digit-
tower.
Bottom tower
Yeah,
has
I mean, you
fallen.
still got plenty of time left on the Aegis. They might even look to go high ground with the last couple of, maybe the last minute of it as well. They saw Seimei duck into the tree line. Defensive use to the BKB, but is it really going to keep him alive long enough? Natsumi's just pummeling to the Death Prophet from afar. And now they know the Outward Devourer is in trouble as well. He's got the Ash Shot, but he won't have an opportunity to use it.
Dire's courier has been
Meanwhile, Trill
Courier
even
as well.
loses his Scepter, so not going to have this big item here for the Monkey King, who might still be in trouble. Onslaught's at the ready from FBZ.
Was thinking maybe that disruption illusion with the huge right-click range from that melee Monkey King would have just dealt that little bit of extra damage needed to be able to get rid of the tree dance cooldown. Not going to be the case, as Natsumi, he just wants to try and close this one out. He's still got the Aegis to play around with. He's still going to be dealing a ton of damage into this tower. Right now, Tsukimoto's just trying to cut the wave wherever he can, but he's not going to be able to.
No, he won't indeed. Tsukimoto giving away another kill. And that last outer tower is going to go down here for Team Tough. So Boom getting so much out of this first Ages of the game, and they've still got a minute worth of it as well. Natsumi's been able to pick up enough gold for the Daedalus. Do you feel like they're strong enough to go high ground, or do you just look to pay some respect? Because it may be into a choke point area like that. That could be where Team Tough could shine.
There's no real need to, right? Like, you could just wait for your BKB on the Shrek in particular. I think it's just going to be around second Roshan that they're looking to do it. Honestly, they might not even need second Rosh, but you at least need that BKB on the Lesh just to make the OD feel so much less impactful. Not have to worry about the Static Storm, the Avatos to be able to push you back. So it's really just about, are Team Tough going to be in a position outside of the base to be punished once this BKB is available on Leshrac? I think that's really what we're going to be waiting for. The plus side for Team Tough is that they've got at least one decent observer ward to be able to play around with. Somehow it's still standing, despite the fact that Boo have been roaming around in their own jungle.
Yeah, I'd like Xnova to pick up a gem. He's got 1,300 gold. I feel like just gem close out the game. Get rid of the vision. I think they did just smoke onto the ward. Tsukimoto's going to be able to pop this. That instant blink away to help with his position, but the shards from Xnova makes it a little bit awkward with the retreat. They're going to be cautious if they group up, though. They are out of range of the kinetic field. Really nice toss back, but busy. Maybe he's happy to be here. BKB with a pulverize onto Velki. It's about to expire, but the glimpses at the ready as well. Great position from Zephyr. It'll protect. Oh, and even got the blink away. Oh my lord, FBZ quick on the fingers, and now Yopaj, he'll jump all the way to the back line. BKB means that the Static Storm's going to do nothing against the Leshrac. And look at them just dancing in and out of the fight. Go Boom, toying with their food at the moment.
It's still a little bit messy. Again, it really does stem around the fact that that high ground ward is still there. You can see there's a courier sitting up on top of it now, but that sentry ward isn't even in range. So Xnova is going to be like, how did they know we were coming? Oh, there we go. They're able to clear that one out. Maybe they'll get some tier 3 neutral items as well. Blast Rig feels kind of nice against the Monkey King if you're able to get Raiden on top of him. Really wouldn't hate to see FBZ pick that one up for himself, so he's not even worried about the Wukongs, but you did force a lot of ultimates out on Team Tough, right? No sanities, no Exo to be able to play around with Wukongs. It's still a big deal, but not anywhere near as big of a deal as that Exo, in my opinion. And, well, they're just playing around everything right now. They've got Pulverize back up and available on FBZ. Every single cooldown imaginable for Boom. That is the third regen rune that Yopaj has been able to pick up for himself as FBC tries to find Trill in the trees, but won't be able to do so. Really does feel like that time is now. Don't need to wait for that next Roshan if they just don't have any tools left to be able to fight, and you've got your BKBs back available. Maybe just wanting Yopaj to get, Natsumi to get level 20. Very close, but should be able to get it as these creep waves start to push in, and seems like Xnova is going to look to join the rest of the boys on this push forward. He accidentally blinks up onto the cliff, but he'll be able to join the rest of them fairly shortly. Have they been able to get any vision out on the map? They have. very odd position though, as
He might be okay. Yeah, they're not going to be able to kill him. Great use of the Ogre Totem as well. I guess it is a BKB forced out, but you also use the Monkey Ring.
it's a big deal though. Like, Boom want to try and push now. They want to try and make advantage now because, again, Monkey King, he's going to continue to scale. He's going into the Nullifier after this, which isn't that great. Not really. You can get rid of, what, the drums and the Hurricane Pike from the Shadow Fiend, and that's about it.
Radiant structures are fortified. Dire
Yeah, there's not a lot. Not a lot.
Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant are scanning.
It is kind of just proactively protecting against the potential for force stuffs, I guess. You know, again, we know that it's going to be a Wukong, it's going to be an Exorcism. Got to make sure that that does not happen for free. Did you like my alliteration there?
Oh,
do you know what alliteration is?
I do. I didn't even notice it, to be honest. Wasn't really listening to you.
Ah, okay. So just business as usual then.
Yeah, business as usual. I will say I was trying to think of my next question to ask you. That's the one difficult thing I've had. Thinking of questions to ask while also trying to listen to you at the same time. Yeah, sometimes you are... Oh, hang on. Uh-oh, you don't want to run into Natsumi on a high ground like this.
That was a slow blink as well by Valky. I was like, you gotta just stand there and let him potentially initiate on you, but he's gonna be able to get back in time. Here's a 4-level lead, though, from the mid laners at least. Monkey King, he's keeping up, but it's just on the back of a lot more successful team fights.
They have pretty good positioning on Team Top, but it does look like Boom have been able to read this. Both sides just playing on the opposite high ground. This is going to favor Boom, though. They've got a catapult wave top, and Yopaj might just force them back with the edict. So eventually, Team Tough, they're on a bit of a timer with their position. Someone needs to react.
They will. They're starting to the TP's back, trying to get an Avatos back inside of the base. Can they lock him down for long enough, though? EKB Bloodstone, he should be just fine. I'm really wanting them to just take this freaking mid tower, man. You haven't got any value out of the Meteor Hammer in my eyes for Valky. And this is one of the big strengths that you need to be playing around with. So now that you see that they've all TP'd back to base, you might be able to get out sooner and cut them off from being able to go into this potential Roche fight. Coming up in 40 seconds, one of the longer respawns we've seen.
Yeah, and great read from Xnova as well. Drops the ward down behind that remnant of the T1 tower. He's able to pop the smoke as well, so Boom, full awareness of what's going on. Try and send some of the illusions up to get a little bit of information, but again, we might just see Yopaj look to shove in top. He won't be able to play as aggressively now without the BKB Bloodstone, but
they really need to take this mid tower. Like, they're finally starting to ping it a little bit, and they're using the tiny illusion to honestly do it, but Valky's just been sitting here farming Ancients for this little bit. I really feel like he could have moved over, Meteor Hammered inside the tree line. They actually found them out because of Xnova's courier. Moving on through. There we go. Finally, they're looking to claim that tower. So if they take a successful team fight, then the buybacks aren't going to be as impactful for Boom. Also put a little bit of pressure onto this tower, so forced back. No TPs, actually. Maybe just trills.
As soon as they see multiple people back inside the base, though, Boom instantly look to smoke. Feeling that Team Tough a little bit disconnected. The smoke on smoke is FBZ. Gonna look to try and jump into the middle. They're on top of Seimei. And the chain control is gonna come out, so they should be able to get the kill into the Death Prophet, but the Astral keeps him alive momentarily. Jaw's got a pretty good Wukong's command, but you see the respect from Boom. They're instantly gonna disengage at FBZ. What a cut down. Not giving an opportunity for the King to perch on his crown. There's now Tsukimoto. He'll also be okay for the moment, but Valky also gets the blink away. Great reactions out of the Outward Devourer, but they'll get the easy kill into the Disruptor, and now potentially the OD as well. Tsukimoto's going to make him work for it, though. Disrupting the combo, but the BKBs have expired, and with a lot of the buybacks, it looks like Boom. Some of the members will eventually go down, but it looks like not all of them, because further inside the base, when they're making quick work of the Team Tough members, it looks like they did indeed only lose FBZ.
crazy. And this is all on the back of information, right? Just manipulating the TP situation with that Observer Ward, like you mentioned, placed down by Xnova in that mid lane. You had a complete understanding of where Team Tough were looking to rotate. FBZ is able to find a fantastic initiation. And he isn't even, like, just really early popping that BKB either, right? He's got the Blink Dagger, so he's got a second form of initiation where you don't need to use the Onslaught to go in. So if he gets glimpsed back, he's just going to be like, all right, I'm just going to run back in, guys, and they're not going to be able to do anything to stop me. Roshan going their way. Even an Aghanim shard being given over to Natsumi. Puts more importance. Are they going to be able to catch out Valky here? Ooh. Even just needing the drums to be able to get him away. Will it be enough? Blink. So, Seime's BKB has intense importance, you know? Like, you just cannot be popping this one willy-nilly because you're going to get feared away by even just a right-click now from the Shadow Fiends. But,
speaking of Seime,
oh no.
Yopaj is able to get on top of him. A little bit slow with the split earth, though, on Yopaj. They'll get a BKB out at least, so it is still a slight win.
Mm-hmm. All it costs is the Demonic Purge on Zephyr. I'm trying to think of a way for them to get back into this. I really am.
Bottom. Though.
Yeah, can't be away from your boys this much.
Oh my lord.
And he just fought out as well.
If he was just shoving out the lane, Valky chucks out just this random Astral, and then Exo was like, oh, there's an OD here. I'll just jump him. So that's a dieback. So now we're devouring maybe some other heroes that are going to be in some trouble as well. Once again, Yopaj is not going to be able to get that follow-up stun with the Hex. Drill's at least doing a pretty good job of the Monkey to cut that mid wave, so they are going to be lacking some creeps. At least they got the Catapult mid though, so with one of the more difficult things to get rid of.
It's no issue, right? Like, they might just quickly, yeah, the bottom lane is going to get pushed in as well. Those siege creeps are going to stay far enough away from the tier 4 towers that they're not even just going to die to towers. You don't feel confident enough to move forward because you don't have OD available and you're fighting into an Aegis. Like, I don't know how they're going to be able to take a successful team fight here. They might have to give up Megas, but at that point, you've got like one, maybe 1.5 heroes that are capable of dealing with Mega creeps, so how do you come back from that?
Yeah. I do not know.
They've even got a Scythe of Vice on Yopaj now as well. And with that blink, Ogre Seal Totem would look to find a key hero. You can see Tsukimoto trying to go for the clever plays here, try and take out that Shadow Demon.
They got the Monkey!
Yeah.
Oh, he couldn't pop the Wukongs. Great reactions out of Yopaj, and they're even going to call it quits. And Valky is straight away out of this game too, as Boom, they will continue on with their flawless run so far in Division 2.
They will. Not quite as dominant as the first game, but it really did feel that they took all the successful team fights that they wanted. They took team fights on their terms. You know, Team Tough, there wasn't enough map presence. They didn't get too much value out of the Exorcism. I'd have to say Seime just caught on his own a few too many times. Meant that they just really didn't have that team fight, and more importantly, they didn't have the anchor for their fight, right? Like, it was relying everything on Tsukimoto, but Boom just played a step ahead. FBZ was putting himself out there, Yopaj was blinking in, so that they were always having to use that Avalanche Toss defensively, just to try and not leak heroes, and eventually something had to give. You might lose a hero here and there, and then Boom just swarmed over them. We saw in that, like, second, third last fight, even just diving into the base behind tier 3 towers, and they were able to clean it up pretty easily. And MVP given over to Zephyr. I appreciate it. It was a good Shadow Demon pick coming out of the first phase to be able to counter the Death Prophet, and well, it gave them a lot of value to be able to stop the effects of the Glimpse as well.
Yeah. Are you surprised that we're not getting as much Shadow Demon as a response to the Death Prophet?
We're not seeing a ton of Death Prophet, though, to be fair. I think China's still picking it a lot, but other than that, I mean, if you're referring to like Dream League, we've got one Chinese team there. So that kind of shows the situation. So I think it's certainly a valuable hero. Maybe a few more teams will pick it up as like a disruptor counter itself as well. But I just don't think this was an OD game. I'm not really sure why they chose to end the draft with it. It really doesn't do anything because it was last pick overall. You knew the Leshrac was mid, so I really don't feel like it provided them anything this game. And he really got next to no value out of that Meteor Hammer. Yes, 607 building damage from that Meteor, which I'm pretty sure was the one that we saw like 35 minutes into that game when he was taking the tier 1 tower.
Yeah, and the big reason why you were asking Team Tough to go for the second pick is often that gives you a advantage with your lanes overall. You get a couple of core counter picks, and you can use that to offset the enemy team and how strong they can be at the early stage. But again, this 24th pick OD just was not it. And I will say sometimes it does. That very few games that you'll see where you get to the end of the draft and all of a sudden, like, what do we pick? Like, all the heroes we want are currently banned out. We have to go something for maybe that isn't the best suited hero for this role. But unfortunately, the 24th pick, often that gotcha pick and the game-winning pick was just not it for the OD.
I'm not sure if it was banned, but Panga would have been great, like provides them a little bit more of that consistent lockdown. You could go into the Diffusal against the Leshrac, feels kind of nice, even just against the Primal. Basher eventually as well, of course, just to keep heroes locked in position, interrupt a Requiem. I don't know. Feels like it would have been much more solid. You knew you weren't going to get counter-picked. Maybe it was banned, I forget, but, it's another clean 2-0 for Boom. They have not even taken a single game loss so far this tour.
No, they haven't. And I suppose with how good they're looking right now, are you expecting them to even have a map loss? Because this team it's on quite the roll.
I think they can. I mean, you mentioned a few third-party tournaments in the lead-up to this series, and they haven't been, like, uber successful in those. They've been dropping games here and there. So they're not unbeatable for sure, but if you can't play the draft, then you're not going to beat them. They're still very skilled players. I think you need to kind of outthink Boom as opposed to outplay them.
Yeah, which can be difficult to outthink them as well because you've got a lot of experience on that team. So you've got a lot to draw back on particular matchups, small timings, whether it's item or levels to use to your advantage. So it's good to see Boom in pretty hot form though in Division 2. But we are hopefully able to get a interview with one of the players.
Hopefully.
Just looking to see who that will be, which lovely face is going to be.
So I want to ask you, you mentioned, like, are Boom going to drop a single game throughout this tour? If they were, who do you think it's going to be against?
I think... who will it be?
I think UDV are looking pretty decent.
I don't know. We casted a lot of UDV in the day, and this is not a very different roster to what it's been. And not been quite
I think BB is capable of carrying games. Like, I have a lot of faith in BB.
All right.
Doesn't think the Thai guys are good.
Wow.
Aries again with his bias. Through once again.
Oh, I don't know. I want to say Myth, but
that's bias coming through as number one. You're a Singaporean enjoyer, aren't you? That's the thing about you. You love Exilur, you love Galvin Miracle. So, I mean, it's understandable. If it goes to late game, sure. We've seen them be able to execute off the back of that. The issue is a lot of the time that just doesn't get to that point. And right now they're, 1-1? Yeah. So it hasn't been a clean tour for them up until now, but maybe with the power of anime on their side, they'll be able to do it.
Maybe. And that was also a team that started the tour off with having Miracle as a 5 and Yamate as a 3. So obviously something was going very wrong in the scrims where they weren't happy with some of the results they were getting. And then they're like, all right, Miracle, you can go to the 3, and then Yamate can look to play as a support. So maybe that was kind of the missing thing for them to get this lineup on a roll. But look, if I see any team, I think they maybe have the potential of taking a map. We'll see some of the other boys who are able to do it as well. But we do have our interview ready with the lovely Yup Boy on the line as well. Of course, one of the winning man as well. Yo, Paj, can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello. All right, Denog, I'll let you start with the questions.
Always lets me start. Yopaj, so with the Meepo, I know it wasn't you that played it, but can you tell me about the thought process behind that pick, and is it something that you've been inspired by a lot of your C competitors, because we've seen Execration pick it up in some of these international tournaments as well?
I think that one we haven't practiced it before in our scrim recently, but it's just a Maple game, and that's what made me pretty confident to play against the hero. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any situations like that you come up against? Like, it's a really good game for this hero, but you might not have practiced it a lot, both in scrims or just personally, but you're just kind of forced into picking the hero?
I think nothing. Mostly our pick is just we're already practicing it in scrim. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I ask is that I think it was Shopify over in NA with Arteezy playing the Dragon Knight. He says, I've never played this hero, I never practice it, and I was literally looking up the item guides during the game just so that I could know how to play the hero. So that never happens to you guys?
I think no, it's only this game versus stuff, the Meepo one. We never practice it.
Cool. You guys have been looking pretty clean throughout the DPC so far. Are you taking it more seriously than a lot of these other third-party tournaments? Because you have been dropping series here and there in the third parties, or do you treat everything else at the same level? Like, all games are what we want to win every single game if we can.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
No, that's all right. So, are you treating DPC games more important than some third-party games because it counts for getting you back up into Division 1? You don't want to reveal strategies because you haven't lost in DPC, but you have lost a little bit in some other tournaments. How do you approach these games?
I think this Division 2, it's really important for us because we already skipped two majors, and for us, there's no room to make mistakes anymore.
I have one more question. What are they talking about behind you? That's what I want to know, because they're really getting excited and a lot of noise going on in the background.
I don't know, because Gary Onko is here. It's quite noisy.
Oh, Gary. Can you get Gary on stream? We want to say hi to Gary really quickly.
Gary! Say hi to the camera, they said.
Let's see if we get him.
You can ask
CEO, the true CEO.
Yeah.
Gary, come on.
Hello, Gary.
There we go. Very cool. Yopaj, I have one more question just about a particular matchup. You might not be able to dive too deep into it, but I'm intrigued on how like the Ember Primal Beast matchup works, because you destroyed the Ember in the lane. Is it more of like a Primal Beast lane favor and then it goes back into the Ember's way like towards the early to mid game? Like, how does that matchup work?
In terms of laning, I think it depends on the player, because for me, some of the players, they said like Ember is favor, but for me it's 5-5. It depends how you play against like if
okay.
how understand the laning is against those.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Yopaj. It's always a pleasure to get an interview with you. And again, the boys are looking incredibly strong as well. So thank you for joining us for the interview.
Thank you, guys.
There we go. All right. We even got Gary, the CEO, to get a little wave as well. Of course, Gary is a lovely man. Always a treasure. So Broom looking in very hot form so far, Danog.
you know, Gary's got to show up every now and then to let FBZ know who the true CEO is, that's for sure. But how about Yopaj answering your last question as well? Not wanting to reveal too much about the situation. He's like, you know what, it's up to the player to be able to figure that one out. The Ember Spirit Master doesn't want to reveal all the little tips and tricks needed to be able to play around that one and be able to respond to it, because then, you know, maybe he wouldn't be the master as much as he is, but he's certainly in a hot streak right now.
Yeah, sometimes there's questions like, sometimes you can get away with them, a lot of time you can't get away with them, but I wanted to hear what he said. So if you guys gave us some insight, I would have taken it very gratefully. If he didn't, of course, understandably, like I said in the question, I'm like, you don't have to reveal too much, we get it. Matchups are very important to not reveal a lot of that information. But for Boom, first series, a very fast first series as well, which is going to mean, unfortunately, we have a very long break in between this first and second series. It's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes, guys. So you've got all the time in the world to get some water, get some food as well, because next up we got Spawn versus Horizon. We'll see you guys after the break.
Radiant's bottom tower faces a stiff wind.
This will provide.
The spine is ahead. staggering.
Like a drunk
Attack the hero! Radiant is scanning for enemies. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower just got sent to the bottom. Really nice. Dire's bottom tower is about to flounder. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Is about to flounder. Radiant's middle tower is sinking. Just like your ships.
Diyos Ginoo ko, OMG!